Hey Palm Springs, this is Scott, and I'm a librarian at the Palm Springs Public Library. And today I'm going to talk to you about 5 really great movies about the atomic age. And we're going to move beyond Stanley Kubrick's 1964 masterpiece, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Great title, great film, a funny film about atomic devastation. Huh? Yeah, it's really funny, and if you haven't seen it, you should totally watch it. Now, this isn't meant to be an all inclusive list, but let's get started. Let's do this in a flash. All right? All right, here we go. Our first film is the 1983 Cold War film Wargames, directed by John Badham, who also directed Saturday Night Fever, Short Circuit, and Stakeout. And it stars Matthew Broderick as a hacker. So basically, the film is about Matthew Broderick's character, who's this kind of disaffected high school student who accidentally hacks into a military supercomputer, and he thinks he's just found a game to play, a game about thermonuclear war. And it seems like a lot of fun until maybe it's not just a game, and this game might lead to mutual assured destruction, which is a really scary term. The movie's a lot of fun, though, although it certainly does have a moral like, hey, nuclear war is bad. But if you grew up in the 80s like me, it's a lot of fun to go and see the cutting edge technology that was presented in this film. And I don't just mean the computers, I mean the special effects. Like, they're awesome. All right, so let's get to our next film, which is the 1954 film Gojira, also known to Western audiences as Godzilla, and directed by Ishiro Honda. Now, there have been a lot of Godzilla films through the years. This is the original one, the one that started it all. And the truth is, if you choose to see just one Godzilla film, this should be the film that you see. I know there have been a lot of Godzilla films through the years. Some of the Japanese ones are actually really good. Some of the American ones, not so good. Especially a certain one starring Matthew Broderick. Don't tell him we said this, because we like Matthew, but man, maybe you should just forget that one happened. All right. So what is this film about? Well, Godzilla is basically awakened by H-bomb testing. And so Godzilla moves to attack Japan. And if you sense an allegory here, there certainly is is one, and it's a pretty obvious one. So basically, it's about how maybe we shouldn't engage in nuclear testing, and maybe we shouldn't do things that could possibly lead to nuclear war. And if we do these things and continue acting that way, maybe nature will rise up and come after us. And who's the monster? Is it Godzilla or is it us? That's another question. So it's also a way for a Japanese filmmaker to deal with national trauma. The Japanese know from firsthand experience what nuclear fallout is like. They know what a nuclear attack is like. And that is still today, even after all these years, in the collective memory of the people living there. So that's something to consider. Now, I think that's 3 films in a row. 3 in a row that have been anti-nuclear war and anti-nuclear testing. Maybe our next film will explore the dangers of nuclear power, of which I'm given to understand there are quite a few dangers associated with that. So Silkwood is a 1983 film directed by Mike Nichols, who's well known for directing Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, The Graduate, and Working Girl, and it stars Meryl Streep, Kurt Russell, and Cher. And so the film was nominated for a whole bunch of Oscars, and that includes Best Director, Best Screenwriting. Nora Ephron was a screenwriter here, by the way. Meryl Streep got nominated. I know, not a surprise at all, right? She always gets nominated. But so did Cher, and this was Cher's very first Oscar nomination. And Cher didn't win. None of them won, actually. But Cher would win in a few years for Moonstruck. Now, Cher's character is important for some reasons here. Cher's character is Meryl Streep's roommate and co-worker, and she's an integral part of the film. She's also a very sympathetic portrayal of a lesbian. And this was 1983, so that's a really cool thing to see here. So what is Silkwood about? Silkwood is about Karen Silkwood, who's played by Meryl Streep, and it's a true story. This really happened. And so she's working in a nuclear plant, and she starts to notice discrepancies and that management might be covering up information and incidents that could be dangerous, not just to the people working there, but to the entire community. And people are being exposed to radiation. And management is also maybe taking shortcuts, too. They're not always following safety protocols. And this concerns Karen, and she starts to speak up and say things about it, and they don't want her to do that. So I don't want to give it away. It is a true story, but I highly recommend this film. And so our next film isn't actually a film. It's Craig Mazin's 2019 miniseries, Chernobyl. This is a really great miniseries, and it actually won Outstanding Limited Series at the Primetime Emmys that year. And so how good did Chernobyl have to be to win that award in 2019? It had to beat When They See Us, Escape at Dannemora, Fosse Verdon, and Sharp Objects. All those things are really, really good. And Chernobyl was better. It deserved to win. Chernobyl is one of the scariest things I've ever watched. It's frightening. It really is. And whether you remember what happened in 1986 in Chernobyl or not, I can guarantee you this isn't what you remember. It isn't. And it's just terrifying what is being shown on the screen to you. And to imagine what those people were going through, wow. It's also about the government trying to control the disaster and control the spread of information, not just between people, but also within the government and between scientists, and what can happen. In this case, a lot of people died. It's been suggested that the Chernobyl disaster helped to bring the Soviet Union down. Our last film is On the Beach, a 1959 film directed by Stanley Kramer, who also directed films like Guess Who's Coming for Dinner and Judgment at Nuremberg. It stars Gregory Peck, Ava Gardner, Fred Astaire, and Anthony Perkins, who played the Psycho in Psycho. What more could you want from a movie? You have such a great cast, and it's based on a novel by Neville Shute. Based on a novel by Neville Shute. Now there's a party fact for you. If you can work that into a conversation, let me know. I've been looking for an opportunity, and I've yet to find one. I've got so much up here, and all I've got is you to share it with. I know, I'm looking out for your social life. See, I'm looking out for you. All right, so what is On the Beach about? On the Beach is about the aftermath of nuclear war. And after the war, there is a lot of radiation, and it's spread around the Earth. And the last place it gets to is Australia, which is where our characters are. And our characters have seen what's happened in the rest of the Earth. And well, all the people have died. Okay? And in Australia, they notice the radiation's increasing too. And they have a lot of time to think about what's going to happen to them. And they know it's not going to end well. Wow. I know it sounds like a bummer, but it's actually a really beautifully made film. It's about how precious and short life is, and how we need to take care of our planet and ourselves. Okay. All right. Hope you enjoyed this, Palm Springs, and hope to see you again at the library soon.